Hello folks, how's it going? Welcome back to another Trepidation video where it has been a hot minute since I last recorded a Trepidation video, and I do apologize for that. Today I'm going to be just talking about the new Survivor Rework update, part 1 to be specific, and I'll demonstrate everything that's new, what's changed, how things work and whatnot. I just want to inform you in this video and in future Trepidation videos I'll actually go ahead into gameplay and mess around with all the new content that's been added. So without much further ado, let's jump straight into part 1 of the Survivor Rework. Before I actually start talking about part 1, I actually just want to go ahead and talk about the redesigns that the survivors have been given. I think I briefly talked about it on stream where I showed off all the new designs whilst I casually played some games. Survivors that are still standing strong in here today have all been given a rework in their appearance. There are also some newer survivors in here like Star and Kirisaki, but most of these survivors have been removed for either to turn them into a skin or to still turn them into a survivor in the roster, but they'll just appear later on. Hi there, Editor Timmy here. As of recording this on upload day, Mia and Emily right here have made it back into the wonderful world of Trepidation. I mentioned, I think, somewhere in the video about survivors returning back later into the roster, so I figured why not make this clip really quickly. But yeah, those two are also here now, just so you know. But either way, this is what I just wanted to quickly show you before I actually jump into the good meat of the Survivor Rework so far. That said, take it away, present Timmy. So without much further ado, let's just immediately start with addressing the elephant in the room, what I think is the biggest change of everything that's been added. And it is the fact that if you go to your settings and go to your controls, you can now set your own custom controls. Now, this looks fine, right? It just tells you to open a menu and it takes you to like some general settings, all right? But if you go on ahead and click on this button right here, which says general, click to change character, you can see that you can set keybinds and controls for every single character in the game, which is fucking nuts, but we love it. We love it. Now, this goes for every character, of course, but if you look in the top left of this menu, you can see some general keybinds as well. So like general stuff. We've got general slasher controls right here, and we've got some general survivor controls. If you just go on ahead and click on some of these slashers, you can see all the controls that you can input, the keybinds that you can set. But essentially what the whole point is of this part of the update is that you can now set your own controls and keybinds for every character or just in general. You will see if you click on, for example, the general survivor controls here, that you have a button up here that you can use to apply your changes to all the other survivors. So let's say that we change the keybind of our flashlight to a different key. All you would have to do is click on the button right here for the keybind and then just enter in any keybind. Now, I am on a laptop, so we do have PC controls. Let's set the keybind to, let's just say 0, right? We want our flashlight to be bound to the 0 key. What I can do now is click apply to all, and it should set this flashlight keybind for all my survivor characters. If you go to Jake, 0. Darius, 0. Colt, 0. You get the point now, right? What you can also do is click on the restore defaults button right here. I'll go back to the general survivor keybinds. Let's see, restore default binds for survivor. We can do it that way as well. And now all the flashlight changes that I made to every single survivor should now be back to the keybind being F. So Sadie. Ooh, that's not true, actually. Hold on. Oh, it only sets it for survivor. Okay, so you will have to go back in manually. And of course, the same buttons go for the slasher side as well. So if you, let's say you want to set your standard attack to a different key, I'm going to press escape to cancel for now. You could also hit the apply to all button and apply it to all your other slasher characters. One more thing that is probably important to mention, I'm just having a look at my notes here. You do see that there are 3 like rows or columns. In this first column, these are the default keybinds that the game currently has. You can change those as you just saw. The second column right here is for extra keybinds. And then on the third column is where all the controls are for anyone that has a console. Oh, and one more thing. You do have filters, I believe. Yes, you can hide survivors. You can hide slashers this way. And you can hide them both with just the general, actual general keybinds. Either way, that is the custom controls right here. Now, there are other settings that are related to customizing your controls. These three settings are related to your camera. If you go to the camera tab, you've now got your vertical offset, your horizontal offset, and your camera relative movement. You can modify the placement your camera is at behind you. You see how I've got this like over the shoulder camera right now? Well, I can adjust that to, for example, if I want my camera to be in the dead center, I can now modify it to be in the dead center, like so, on my head. If I want the camera to go a little bit more above my head, I could use the vertical offset to push my camera all the way up, like so. There we go. Now, what the camera relative movement does is it adjusts the way the camera handles your movement. More specifically, it handles how you can like look around and stuff, and if it should be like facing the same way wherever your character is looking. So right now you can see I could just like spin around, and the camera nothing really changes to my character. It just kind of like moves on its own whilst I can like look around like so. It's a little bit janky for me though, in my honest opinion. So I'll turn it back on, and now wherever I look, my character also looks in that direction. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. If it didn't, well, that's too bad. I tried. This moves us to the next huge part of the update, and that is the reworked crafting system. Obviously, you still have to press Q to open up your crafting menu, but you can see right here that stuff has changed. First of all, it doesn't take up your whole screen anymore. It is now this separate rectangle UI for crafting. You can see in the preview here what item you currently have hovered over and see what it does, how much it costs. You can just hover over items like so, and you can see the preview changes like that. The same thing goes for the items here. You can hover over these materials. I mean, you've got a separate craft button now and a drop button, and you can manually close it yourselves by pressing this button right here. Now, as you can see, all the craftables are currently like slightly transparent. They don't really stand out in a way. If that is the case, it means you aren't able to craft that craftable yet. You'll already see that the Molotov in the preview, it's all red because you're lacking all the materials needed to craft a Molotov. There we are. We've now gathered some materials. You can now see that I can actually craft a medkit and a Molotov. And if I just go ahead and craft a medkit, you can now see I no longer have enough materials for the Molotov. I need a bit more chemical fluids and herbs again. In this menu, you can actually drop your materials by just right-clicking on any of these materials that you have. So let's say you want to drop some metal scrap, just right-click on it. And there you go, the metal scrap is now right there. The same thing goes for literally any other material in this. And that is basically everything there is to crafting, really. This brings us to the 3 new craftables that are actually added to this update. You've already seen me hovering over the Molotov, the pipe bomb, and the smoke bomb. But what they do, right, is starting off with the smoke bomb, you could just throw it on the ground with left click, and it'll create a smoke screen for you that you can hide in. Notice how my footsteps are quiet. And when I leave the smoke area, you can hear them again. That's what the smoke bomb does. That brings us over to the pipe bomb, which is like an explosion kind of deal, where if the slasher gets near it, they will take damage. So let's just go ahead and throw that at the slasher. It wasn't close enough to the slasher, so it completely ignored them. The last thing that there is the Molotov. I would have to get some materials for that real quick. There we are. We can now make ourselves the Molotov. And what that does is when you throw it, it will create a fire pit. And if the slasher is in it, they will get slowed down. Just like so. Yeah. And there you go. You can even set yourselves on fire with the Molotov, which is unfortunate. Now, what you did see is that the Molotov did just damage me. And I want to warn everyone here that with the Molotov and the Pipe Bomb, I'm pretty sure, you can hurt yourself and your teammates if you do not use them correctly. What should also be noted is that you can hold right click to throw some items now. So the flashbang, the Molotov, the Pipe Bomb, and the Smoke Bomb, you can hold right click to hold them in the air and then throw them away like so. Those 4 have been turned into actual like throwable items now. You can see how I'm holding right click and then using left click to throw them in the end. I'm just throwing them at the slasher for demonstration purposes. But you get the point. You can use this to try and aim correctly to hopefully get the slasher with any of your throwable items. And those are pretty much all the craftables that have been added alongside the new change to some of them, in which they have become throwable craftables. Now you're not gonna guess this next one, huh? But there have been 5 new guns added to the game as well. And I'll actually look for them because I did find some previously. So here we've got a rocket launcher. That's crazy. There's a rocket launcher in this game now. I think it's self-explanatory what the rocket launcher does. You aim at the slasher and you shoot out a rocket toward them. And what the rocket actually does, you can hit surfaces to make it explode, and it'll deal heavy splash damage to people nearby. And if you directly hit, you will hit the target with shackled and a 2-second stun as well. The next gun that I have in this game right here is the submachine gun, and it is quite a quick gun that doesn't do too much damage. It does low damage essentially, but you can see right here, if you just hold left click with your mouse with the submachine gun, it gets crazy. So you can actually still really do a lot of damage with this gun right here. Now the submachine gun can be used while sprinting. So if you go ahead and sprint, you can see that you can use it. But you will notice that if you are not aiming with the submachine gun, the fire spread is increased. Whereas if you actually aim, it is way better. It is way better to shoot with it. Ooh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. The assault rifle. Holy moly. Okay, so the assault rifle speaks for itself. It's a big gun. You cannot use it whilst you are running. I'm holding left click right now because it's also an automatic gun. And you can see right here, if I'm running, I cannot make use of it, but when I stop, I am now using it. Now, like the submachine gun, if you do not aim whilst using the assault rifle, which I'll demonstrate in a second here, if I can find the slasher, you will notice that the fire spread also is increased for the assault rifle when you are just shooting like this. Not every bullet hits. Whereas if I'm aiming, every bullet suddenly starts hitting. The next gun that we have been given is the grenade launcher. Woohoo! And the name implies, well, what it does. You shoot grenades. Pretty cool, right? Now, as you could see, you can aim very far with this grenade launcher right here. The grenades themselves explode. They deal splash damage, but they also explode when you directly hit something, regardless of if it is a survivor or a slasher. I'm pretty sure it does take some time to explode. Like let's just see. There you go. But that leaves us with one more gun that was added, and I hope I can find it. It is the harpoon gun. How sick is this, folks? So what you can do with the harpoon gun, you can probably guess what you can do with it. But essentially, you can just aim it at the slasher. Is that you right there? Yes, it is. You can aim it at the slasher. You can shoot. And you can pull the right in. And you can pull the right in like so. Isn't that actually incredible? It is such a fun little gun. But to be specific, it deals heavy damage and staggers enemies. And when you directly hit the slasher, you pull them toward you. One more note about the new guns. You do have to be careful with the grenade launcher and the rocket launcher, because you can also hurt yourself and your teammates with these new guns. The grenades from the grenade launcher apply 3 seconds of disfigure to teammates if you directly hit them with a grenade. And of course, the explosion of the rocket launcher isn't necessarily an explosion you want to be in as a teammate. That should be everything there is to the new arsenal. Alright, for my next trick, I have gathered as many craftables and guns I could possibly manage, because the next segment is about the reworked inventory. Now, as you can see below in the hotbar that we now have added to our screen here, I have about 8 slots that I can carry items in. You can see right here, if I press any number that is in the hotbar, I equip this item. Now, this is just scraping the surface of this reworked inventory, because you can get full access to it by opening up your crafting menu. Just to start off, let's just go on ahead and click on an item right here. Let's just click on the knife, right? When you click on any of these items in your hotbar here, you will see a mini pop-up that tells you what you can do with what control. The same thing goes for the guns, for the craftables, and you can see right here, every single one of these items has this little drop-down menu. Now, you can select all these options manually. For example, if I want to reinforce my knife here, I could just click on it like so, but we don't have enough of these metal scraps right here. But basically, what you can do with every item in here, except for the knife, is you can equip it, move it, and you can drop it. Now, you can also reinforce the knife, which gives you more durability on there. You can also click on guns to craft more ammo, and you can also click on any of the craftables to craft another one of them. Now, this is where the fun begins, because you can essentially organize your inventory by moving around all these items. You can see right here that my inventory is quite a big mess, so I'll just go on ahead and sort them out. For example, I want to move my grenade launcher to my 4th slot so that I've got all my guns together. And so what I will do is I will click on the slot that the grenade launcher is in. I will press R to move it, and now I just need to select a slot to move the item to, which in this case is the 4th slot. It will swap with my flashbang like so, and now I've got all my guns next to each other organized in my inventory. The same thing you could do with the craftables. I'll just, for the sake of the demonstration, order them in alphabetical orders, starting off with the flashbang. I will move it to the 5th slot. I will switch around the pipe bomb with the smoke bomb. And now we've got all my craftables in alphabetical order. If you don't want to use backspace to drop it, you can just open it and right click on any of these slots to just drop it immediately anyway. You cannot drop your knife, unfortunately. There's no such thing as dropping your knife here. It's etiquette in the wonderful world of trepidation. But what I think is really interesting is for these craftables, they've actually become items now. You can see the lockpick in my hand right there. You will have to actually hold stuff in your inventory to actually use them. The same thing goes for the medkit, the lockpick in here. You could just run in here, left click to use a lockpick, and it shuts the door like so. There's one more thing I want to share about the inventory rework, and that is the 2 settings. You can enable the D-pad inventory to turn your inventory into this. If anyone is making use of the D-pad, this seems to be the ideal inventory that you can go on ahead and make use of. There is also the option for the inventory hotbar visible, and what that basically does is it makes your inventory invisible when you are not in your crafting, like so. Let's now move on to some smaller changes that were made to gameplay and UI. The first thing that was changed is vaults. We now have different vault speeds depending on your camera angle and your momentum. So for example, just walking up to a vault and then pressing spacebar, well, it gives you kind of a slow vault, just like so. If you're running and not really directly hitting the vault or looking at the vault, you will also get a slow vault. Now, the way you get past vaults now is just pretty much by running up to it and making sure that you're looking at it like so. You can slightly move your camera in an angle, and it works just fine. But that is essentially what's changed to the vault. There's a different vault speed right there, and again, just walking up to it and vaulting, that's such a slow vault. We also have some UI changes here where, let me just go ahead and walk up to, say, a door. an interaction. It now tells you E to open, or at least it does it a lot more clearly now. This is what the old text used to look like, and this is it now. So that's nice. If we go ahead and do this, you can see space default. Open the door with E. If you go to the objectives now show interact. And so my point basically is that every single interaction in the game currently, they now all have a prompt that you can clearly see on your screen. Moving on to some survivor changes, starting off with a change to the landmine. You now need to actually like equip it, like I mentioned earlier with the craftables, but you will also play a 1 second placing down animation when you place down a landmine. The older flashbang craftable, like I showcased in an earlier clip, has also been updated to be a throwable. You can no longer use medkits on survivors you revive. This functionality has been moved instead to heal injured survivors. The shield status effect that survivors can benefit from no longer gives them a speed boost when the shield has been broken by the slasher. And anti-camp has made a return to the death timer where it freezes if the slasher is in your vicinity. Basically, if they're camping, your death timer doesn't tick down. For slashers now get more health per additional survivor in their round. The bonus health has been increased from 35% to 50% per survivor. The launches from the slasher standard attack no longer have an extended recovery period, and the slasher's vault speed has been decreased by 30%. Additionally, there are some changes to some slashers and perks. There have also been some bug fixes, but I will just put them up on screen so that you can read through them as I talk about this portion. I'll leave it up to you to decide whether these changes were good or bad, because I wouldn't know what to tell you here. Okay, folks, this just in, alright? I just got home. There's literally more to this update that has been shadow added. Like no update log or anything as far as I know. But survivors, you remember those, right? From the start of the video. If you go ahead and click on those, they've got skins now. They've got skins. Yo, what? This came really unexpected. You can see that most survivors actually have received some skins, as well as some returning and familiar faces. Same thing goes for Sadie. Sadie's got some skins right there. We've got some references to some games. What the what? Simon! Storm has skins. There's the boss guy. He's made a return, as well as this guy. So there's Garcia as well. This is a returning face, of course. What is this? $90,000 skin. He's just got Garcia in a melon costume, I guess. What am I looking at here? But yeah, I just wanted to add this onto the video because this, I think, dropped yesterday in my time. Some characters have some skins now. Go check them out. Go buy them. I'm just gonna do it and get this skin out of the way. I'm buying this 90,000 Treppy coin skin, Garcia Melon Warrior. Hold on, can I just play around with this skin for just for one round, all right? I can see why it was so expensive now. That is the last Survivor Rework update as of the 28th of October. Like this video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe for more of my content in the future. You know the drill. And yeah, that is all from Chicken Man for today. I will see you next time with hopefully some Trepidation Survivor Rework gameplay next. I'll see you around, folks.